Princess Rose of the Zalthari Empire had married beneath her station, or so the court whispered. Her husband, Eliam, was human, a species known throughout the galaxy for their fragility, their short lifespans, and their peculiar insistence on diplomacy over dominance. The Zalthari, with their crystalline exoskeletons and 3-meter frames, viewed humans as the galaxy's poets and philosophers, not its warriors. Rose had fallen in love with Eliam's gentleness. The way he spoke of Earth's forests and oceans, the way his brown eyes softened when he read ancient human literature, the way he preferred negotiation to conflict. But gentleness, she had learned, was mistaken for weakness in the royal court of Zalthar Prime. "Your Grace?" Commander Thex had sneered at the last council meeting, his violet carapace gleaming under the chamber lights. "Perhaps your human should remain in your chambers while we discuss military strategy. Such conversations might disturb his delicate constitution." Rose had watched Eliam's jaw tighten, but he had only smiled and excused himself. That smile haunted her. It was not the smile of a weak man, but of one who had chosen his battles carefully. The invasion came on the 3rd moon of the harvest season. The Krell Dominion had long coveted Zalthar Prime's position at the nexus of 7 trade routes. Their fleet materialized from hyperspace like locusts, blotting out the twin suns. Zalthari warriors were formidable, but the Krell had numbers, and they had planned their attack during the Crystal Molt, when half the population was vulnerable, their old exoskeletons shed and new ones still soft. Rose stood in the palace war room, her newly hardened carapace aching, watching holographic projections of Krell ships descending on the capital. Commander Thex barked orders, but panic edged his voice. The palace guard was undermanned. Most warriors were protecting the molting facilities in the outer districts. "We must evacuate the royal family," Thex insisted. "Your Grace, please gather your—" The doors exploded inward. Krell shock troops poured through, their obsidian armor absorbing weapon fire, their plasma rifles cutting down guards like wheat. Rose reached for her ceremonial blade, knowing it would not be enough. She had been trained to rule, not to fight. The Zalthari way was to let warriors handle warfare while royalty handled governance. Eliam appeared at her side, seemingly from nowhere. He wore simple brown clothing, unarmed as always, and Rose felt her heart sink. He would die protecting her with nothing but his bare hands. "Eliam, run!" she shouted over the chaos. He did not run. Instead, he reached behind his back and drew forth a weapon Rose had never seen him carry, a blade roughly a meter long, slightly curved, with a simple circular guard. It looked ancient, almost primitive compared to plasma cutters and energy swords. "Stay behind me," Eliam said quietly, and his voice carried a weight she had never heard before. A Krell warrior, nearly as large as a Zalthari, charged forward with a plasma blade raised. Rose opened her mouth to scream a warning, but Eliam was already moving. What happened next would be replayed on security footage across the Empire for decades. Eliam moved like water, like wind, like something that existed between moments. The Krell's plasma blade cut through empty air as Eliam sidestepped, his own blade flowing upward in a strike so precise it found the gap between helmet and chestplate. The Krell fell, and Eliam was already engaging the next opponent. Rose had studied warfare as part of her royal education. She knew combat theory, force multiplication, tactical advantage. What she witnessed now defied that education. Eliam did not fight like the Zalthari, with overwhelming strength and thick armor. He did not fight like the Krell, with brutal efficiency and superior numbers. He fought like something that had evolved on a death world, where survival meant mastering not just one form of combat, but dozens, where a species without natural weapons or armor had to become the weapon itself. His blade sang through the air, each movement economical, precise, devastating. A Krell aimed a rifle at Rose. Eliam's blade flashed and the rifle clattered to the floor in pieces, followed by the Krell warrior himself. Another rushed from the left. Eliam pivoted, used the attacker's momentum against him, and sent him crashing into his companions. "Humans," Eliam said conversationally, parrying a plasma blade with his ancient steel, "practiced warfare for 5,000 years before we reached the stars. We had to. We had no armor, no natural weapons, no size advantage." He disarmed another Krell with a twist of his wrist. "So we developed over 1,800 martial disciplines. We weaponized everything, sticks, chains, our own bodies." He moved forward now, and the Krell began to retreat. Commander Thex and his warriors watched in stunned silence. You know what we called this blade? Ilium continued, his weapon moving in patterns too fast to follow. A katana, forged by masters who spent lifetimes perfecting the art of killing. But we had thousands of other weapons too. Humans are very good at two things, Princess. He disarmed the last Krell warrior in the room with an elegant spin, creating poetry and creating death, often simultaneously. The surviving Krell fled. In the distance, alarms rang as the palace guard rallied, but the immediate threat was ended. Ilium stood among the fallen enemies, his ancient blade still gleaming. Not a scratch on him despite facing a dozen opponents. He turned to Rose, and his eyes were soft again, the gentle scholar she had fallen in love with. He cleaned his blade with a cloth from his pocket and sheathed it at his back, where it vanished beneath his simple tunic. "I'm sorry you had to see that," he said quietly. "I didn't want you to know that side of me." Rose approached slowly, her multiple eyes wide. "You've been hiding this? Your strength?" "Not hiding," Ilium smiled sadly. "Choosing. Humans learned a long time ago that just because you can solve problems with violence doesn't mean you should. I chose gentleness, Rose. I always choose gentleness. But I never forgot the alternative." Commander Thex approached, his carapace plates rattling in what Rose recognized as profound respect. "Human Ilium," he said formally, "I have gravely misjudged your people. And you." Ilium nodded graciously. "Most people do. We consider it an advantage." As the palace guard secured the building, and Krell forces retreated from Zelthari space, word spreading quickly that the royal palace had repelled an elite shock team. Rose took her husband's hand. She had loved him for his poetry, his kindness, his philosophical nature. Now she understood that the greatest warriors were not those who fought because they knew nothing else, but those who fought because they chose to protect what they loved, despite knowing every peaceful alternative. Humanity. "Fuck yeah," Rose whispered in English, a phrase Ilium had taught her, finally understanding its meaning. Ilium laughed, genuinely, warmly, the gentle scholar returning. "Humanity, fine, yeah," he agreed, and led his princess home through the halls of a palace that would never again underestimate a human's capacity for either peace or violence. The choice, as always, was theirs to make. The end.